Next Venture Motorsports R&D Bay today here in Grand Junction, Colorado, and we actually had somebody drop off their JT from North Carolina. Thank you for making the drive out so we could borrow your Diesel JT for the day and do the diesel version of the install. These instructions are awesome, and if you download yours, they'll be in color. Austin, why did you print these in black and white? They're no longer color coded.
Yeah,
nothing from the camera.
I didn't think about that.
So here's a good thing to know. We know every rig is different once it has started collecting upgrades, trail character, modifications. Those are going to happen. This just came back from Moab. I don't know what we're going to find for dents, dings, and hardware that already broke itself loose. At the time of this writing, we cannot confirm that this kit will work with every other aftermarket skid plate, exhaust system, or other modifications. I think everybody knows that going into this, but it's a good reminder because if you are running things that attach to the frame in the same location, you might have some overlap. We do see that. Give us a call if you've got any questions on that. We do have some decent workarounds to make things work. If you're working with a shop, they're probably going to figure out most of that themselves. Pre-install note. Install will be vastly easier if your fuel tank is nearly empty. Ours is not today. Remove the negative battery cable. That is copied and pasted into every install instruction ever made. So, actual first step is going to be removing your factory skid plates and cross members. We're going to start removing nearly everything, but we're going to leave the fuel tank skid in the vehicle. For now, we're just going to loosen it up because we want to keep the fuel tank in the vehicle. We're going to kind of run ratchet straps underneath it to keep it in place. There's a fuel filler, there's all sorts of emission lines going to it. We don't want to mess with it, so we're going to just drop the bolts down most of the way, give ourselves some wiggle room, and we'll show you that process as well. As far as everything else goes, it's just going to come off, and you can give it to a local community college for their welding program. They can weld it together into yard art. Place for that.
Okay, so as soon as you get the TK skid out, a good thing to do is what we like to use is a Sawzall. You could either do like a small body saw or whatever, but it always seems to be the best tool to just cut this off right here so it's nice and flush and it's out of your way.
So I just pulled off these two on the bottom here that hang off of these studs. There's two nuts on the bottom. This is JT specific. You're not going to have to worry about this on the JL, but they mate the fuel tank skid and the DEF skid together right here on the truck. They also have one up here. So this little line that goes up the side, similar location to this little mating bolt here on the JT. We're going to have to pull these out of the factory fuel tank skid before we drop that skid.
And a great thing to use is some of these pliers.
Diagonal cutters.
So if you take the pliers and you sneak them behind, you can use them just to kind of get behind there. You don't want to put a lot of clamping force, you just want to grab onto it and then use it to push back against it and you get behind the clamp.
So I just want to know how long this is. It's got quite a bit of extra. And we want to leave these attached right now because we want to drop before we remove it.
Wait, hold on. So before you start this, I know you guys are super excited to install your new skid system, but you need to make sure, plan ahead. The emptier this gas tank is, the easier the install is going to be. So make sure, warning right here, as empty as fuel as you can get. Okay, now back to the video.
What kind of tool is that? Is that a Milwaukee? It's not yellow, so it's not DeWalt.
Well, it's red, so yeah, we'll call it Milwaukee. It's It's gonna work good, so it's Milwaukee.
So I think what we could do is probably take this guy up here. We got a good cross member cave right now.
Please put that in there. This hole right here works pretty good for this.
Okay. So we probably want to tighten this up before we run the other strap. That way it's starting to lift the fuel tank, considering how much fuel we have in it. It's not very light. It's going to fight us a lot less on the second strap that way.
So what I've done is I've fed the wire down through this part right here. And I fed it down to where it comes out of the bottom right here on this back flap right here. So as you pull this through, you want to make sure you're on this side of this bracket right here. And it goes right here, so you just want to make sure your wire's on the back side right here. Now when you go to slide this forward to hold the back side of the tank, that's not going to hold you up.
So
forward with it right here. Come out right here. So feed this through. So I just hook this right into there. I'm just gonna pull slack on this right here. Again, you wanna make sure you're on top of the e-brake cables right here. So when you go to pull it tight, you're not pulling these down. You wanna make sure this is not gonna be in the way. Right there on the body. Okay, as soon as you get it tied enough, you'll kind of see the gas tank kind of pull up a little bit. That's exactly what we're looking for. So just kind of recap on the gas tank here. Basically what we've done is we've loosened all the bolts that go all the way around the gas tank, and we ran straps through and we've tightened them up, so we actually have the gas tank now supported by the straps in the front and the rear. That way we can pull the gas tank skid down, and then that way it's held up. It's not going to fall on our faces or nothing like that. That way it'll be up out of the way when we go to put the new cross member on and the new rear bracket that'll hold the gas tank on. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna finish taking out these bolts here. That way the skid will be totally free. Make sure we got them all out. Not missing anything. Looks like we have them all out. Now, since we're on a lift, we have these nice screw jacks here, which make the job pretty easy. But when you're at home, either you could probably do it with one jack, but I would recommend at least 2 floor jacks to do this. One here and one back here, that we can drop it nice and level. If not, you could probably do it with some sort of transmission jack, would work great too. So basically, there's a little slot here that the gas tank has a stud on that the depth tank skid goes into. So what you want to do is you'll want to lift up on the tank, that way you get it to go up past it. I think just hung up somewhere.
It's hanging up a little bit on the.
Oh, so once we get it forward, can we just go straight down with it then?
I think so.
I want to see if you can get that screw jack down. Got it?
Sort of.
I got this tight. I should be able to just. So, if you want to scoot that out with your foot. The straps are what's going to be doing all the holding of the gas tank. And these are here basically until, like I said, until we get our cross member up. That's going to go right here. And then there's another brace that's going to go back here.
Who throws a shoe? Oh, that's kind of clever.
So, this is our cross brace for about the middle of the gas tank here. It goes right up here. Again, just using pre-existing hardware that we took out. It's just going to go right back where it came. Install this prior to putting it up in the Jeep. This is going to go on the inside, and then you want to put the hardware facing out like this. That way you don't have any bolts facing in towards the gas tank and all that stuff.
Yeah, you really don't want these threads to be exposed to the tank. And you'll even see on this kit, since we have hardware coming through here, he opted for the UHMW on this one. So all this attachment hardware, where it's going to be underneath or close to the fuel tank, it's got this little rubber cap on here. So we are just trying to make them last as long as we can and reduce any sort of exposure to threads.
You want to install these loosely. You don't want them super tight, because it'll help you get it when we go to lift this up and put it on the Jeep. Help us get it in place, and then once we get it on, we can obviously tighten it once we get up in there. These are our brackets we use that are going to go up in the cross member right here. So they have this little piece that protrudes, and it's going to go up in here. You have this big hole right here. That is going to hook onto the inside of this captured threaded nut plate they put in right here. So it's going to go in right here. It's going to sit like that. So then we're going to put another one right here.
It's going to be the fuel tank and TK skid on the one side,
Okay.
and the exhaust skid on the other. And then the other little tip or trick that we have for you is if you want these to not be trying to fall out on you, go ahead and just put a piece of masking tape in place. Also, wear your steel toe boots if you're working with somebody that likes to drop the floor.
Especially men.
The pieces of hardware that we're going to be using, these countersunk M12 bolts towards the front, where everything ties into the hardware sticks up here, and these guys are going to go in place right about here, and we're only using this side for now, so we can take one of these and hold this in place for now using the factory hardware on the other side. That way we don't have to hold this into place, and you don't have to do as many magic tricks with blue painter's tape to hold things up. And you can see these two slots right here are what allows these to pass through into that new additional provided hardware stick. Oh, but if you're gonna do this trick, definitely put both hardware sticks in place before you start moving anywhere past this point. We were gonna show you guys the easy way, but now it's a challenge and we've accepted it. And I'm just putting the front bolt in because that's gonna give us the ability to maneuver these. But we only need to populate the back one to get the fuel tank skid into place. And this one we want to leave really loose for now. Everything else has the ability to kind of move around and has some slotting in it. I like your transmission, Jack. So this guy is the one that's going to locate pretty much everything at the factory. The ones that we install float inside of the transmission cross member, and they're not going to constrain you a whole lot. But this guy right here is totally fixed in the cross member, so we want to tighten this one last. I mean, you want to at least have everything else started at least before you tighten this guy. So we've got the front kind of hanging on these two bolts. We'll go through and get most of the frame rail bolts started, and we're going to come back to this guy.
So as we're getting all these bolts put in here, once we get all the bolts put in all the way around and we get everything just kind of started, then at that point, once we get all the hardware in, then we can pull the straps off, and then we'll set the gas tank down on the skid, and then we can tighten everything up. So we got two bolts right here. This one we can go ahead and put in, but this one right underneath the T-case, we want to wait to put that one in because we're going to have the other T-case skid that's going to go right here, or muffler skid. Muffler skid? Is it muffler skid?
Transfer case and muffler skid, a little bit.
Same, but different.
It covers a lot of the T-case. We call that the T-case skid in the instructions.
So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tighten up some of these bolts right here. And then we're going to go ahead and start taking the straps off for the gas tank. We'll let the gas tank rest on the new skid. And then we'll get everything tightened, you know, more or less cinched up. Again, you don't want to tighten it all the way. You just want to take up most of the slack out of it. Okay, now we can undo the straps.
Yeah, so once you've got the fuel tank skid into place, the only one you want to leave over here is this very front slotted one that goes into the provided hardware stick. That way you can start putting in your T-case and exhaust skid right here.
This is the packaging that these three bolts will be in their place, but they'll be loose. We do that on purpose because you have to undo those. When you go to put this up in here, those three bolts are going to go tie in right these three bolts on the crossbar. Guy up here with this. In the kit, it's going to come with two provided nut sticks. They're the same, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. They're both universal. So we'll take one of these. This will take stock hardware that we'll screw in here like this. come over here. There's a hole right here. And then on this side of the frame right here, you're gonna take this and you're gonna drop it right inside this slot right here. Drop it right down. And then just kind of eyeball where it needs to go. Like that. Okay, so now we're going to take these flush head Allen bolts and they're going to go up in these 3 holes like we talked about before that you have to remove. So these you push in. We'll get a washer and then a nylock on top. And you do that for the next 2 holes. Okay, so this is your bracket you're going to put on back here. It's going to go right here. And this is for the selective, regenerative catalytic converter stuff.
So Wes just went to the factory points here, one on the cross member, one on the frame, and like we mentioned earlier, of these 3 holes on the back of the T-case skid, you want to leave the one on the far right completely unpopulated. When you go to put this in place, this guy and this guy are going to line up. And then this little overlap on the UHMW that you might have noticed is actually going to fill in this gap at the front in the correct direction so you don't catch it and find a way to peel anything back.
Then you can reach in, put in the carriage bolt from the back side, and tighten the bolt right there. Factory bolt's going to go in right here. Try and
So for the SCR skid, you'll actually want to start snugging this one down before you snug down the rest of it. This guy is going to pull the skid forward and close this little bit of a gap that we're seeing. And that way we have as smooth a surface as possible. So this kit comes with 3 of these little button heads, as well as this little door. This is the access panel, so you can get to your water separator and fuel filter. This is going to let you do all your maintenance without having to drop an entire skid. And I'll show you how this buttons up right now. So this guy has this little tang welded on right here, and you see we've got the same factory access right here to all of this through this little teardrop shape. You can also get to these 2 little bolts on the back side and actually remove this cover and do your maintenance. But we really wanted a totally smooth surface over here. So this guy will actually key in right about here. And press up into place. And we're just going to loosely assemble these for now. 2 of them up here are going to be removed every time you do that maintenance. The 3rd one over here is actually something you want to install while you're still working on your whole installation. It's going to bring the cross member that this attaches to and the skid together right here, so you have a nice flush, smooth surface over here, and everything is going to be as smooth as possible. That way we're just pulling them together before we go tightening everything else up. Swoosh. So you notice up at the front here we're already pretty level. In the back we're not yet. we are actually going to be moving some of this up further once we tighten down the rest of this hardware. So if it's not sitting perfectly level right now, I wouldn't worry about it too much. After you've got everything else tightened down, if they don't level out, you can put a couple of washers back here and space it down and away. But right now, I can't even get like a fingernail into this gap, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it's pretty darn close to where it should be sitting, and we're gonna wait until we get everything else seated before we worry about exactly where it's sitting.
So you're gonna need a little butane torch here. The reason why is because Jeep does put Loctite on these bolts right here, and what we've actually seen before, if you do not use heat to take that bolt out, you run the chance of spinning that nutsert inside there. Ask me how I know.
How do you know, Wes?
Because I've done it. But if you add heat to these, they come out of a heck of a lot easier.
So while Wes is working on getting the motor mount bolts unstuck and Loctited, I was hoping to show you guys just where we're going to drill one hole here on the driver's side frame rail. Just about here underneath the big slot. We're really just kind of using the skid plate as a template. If you want to come in here with a 1/2 inch index and sort of center that hole, you can do that. A slot isn't great for a template, but it is great if you ever have to drop these skids and put them back up. So it is slotted a little bit. So you want to aim for about the center of the slot. I'm coming in here with a smaller pilot bit first. The sharper the drill bit, the better. Oil is probably going to help. You want to go slow with a lot of pressure to go through steel. You don't want to go super fast. So we'll punch a pilot hole and then we'll up it to about a 1/2 inch. And that's going to give us just about a perfect clearance for our M12 bolt that we'll insert at the end. This is why an indexing punch is helpful. Yep. So same as the hardware stick that Wes used on the other side, we're going to go ahead and drop this in. You can cut it right there because apparently I cut exactly a 12mm hole. So once you have the proper size hole drilled, you take your other flag nut, your hardware stick, drop it in there, and you can tighten it down from there. So we're going to take the motor mount brackets for the engine skid that tie into our motor mounts up on the frame side, and we're going to get these loosely connected for now to our engine skid. Can we actually do that on the driver's side?
What?
This one has to come up and over the top. We only attach the passenger side on the diesel. We're going to take this one and we're going to go put this on the vehicle first. This one we can attach. So we're gonna install this with the carriage bolts loosely for now. That way we can move it around as needed. And it's not going to be fun to access the inside for the carriage bolts. The carriage head is going to be on the inside. Got that square shoulder on it, so it'll hold itself in place when you go to tighten the outside hardware here once it's up in place.
Alright, thanks for joining us today while we're putting on this skid system on the Diesel JT Gladiator. We think this is a pretty good kit. I'd say the 3 big bullet points of installing this kit are going to be the one, getting your gas tank as low as you can before starting the project. That way you don't have to deal with the added weight of it. The other thing is getting the straps between the factory gas tank skid and the gas tank. And then the third being the factory motor mount bolts, getting those out with the crazy Loctite that Jeep uses.
Lots of Loctite.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the 3 bullet points we wanted to cover because those are the hardest 3 things. If you're debating whether you want to take it to a shop or do it in your driveway, well, it is going to go faster on a 2-post lift than it is, you know, in your driveway or your garage at home. But Wes and I have done it on the ground, yes, on jack stands, and it is possible, just maybe not as much fun, but it's probably a 5-6 hour job.
Yeah, I'd say 5-6 hours doing it, essentially laying on your back on a creeper in the driveway. You probably knock an hour or so out of that, you know, doing it on a 2-post lift. So yeah, overall not a bad install. We think these skids are pretty rad, and hope you guys enjoy watching the video to put them on. We hope you guys can put them on just as easily.
Yep, and if you do have a 3.6 gasser, or you know, any of the gas models, we'll put a link at the very end of the video to the we do have a video out there that specifically covers a 3.6 liter gas JT and JL. It's very similar to this install, just fuel tanks on the other side, exhaust is a little bit different.
Yep. Well, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys get out on the trail, get to put the skids to good use, and
we'll see you guys out there.
See you guys on the trail. Thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And hopefully we'll catch you for the next one. See you guys on the trail.